When you think of Cape Town, you probably picture Table Mountain, sparkling beaches and lush vineyards, a city of breathtaking beauty. But a city is more than its landmarks. Its true soul lives in the streets, in the vibrant neighborhoods where people build their lives. The heart of Cape Town beats in places like Woodstock and Bo-Kaap, communities rich with history, resilience and culture. These areas have weathered storms, from apartheid's injustices to today's quieter threat, gentrification. It's not loud, but it's powerful, arriving with construction cranes, trendy coffee shops, and soaring property prices. This is the story of a city in flux, a battle for its soul fought in colorful streets, not on grand battlefields. It's a story of change, challenge, and above all, hope. Let's look closer at the real Cape Town, beyond the mountain, into the heart of its communities. Gentrification. A big word, but a simple idea. It's a process that's changing cities all over the world, and Cape Town is no exception. Imagine a neighborhood where families have lived for generations, full of character, history, and a strong sense of community. The streets echo with laughter, stories, and the rhythms of daily life. Then, new people with more money move in, drawn by the area's charm, location, and unique culture. They see potential and opportunity, and soon the neighborhood starts to change. Developers follow, transforming old buildings into modern apartments, and soon trendy shops and cafes replace family businesses. The look and feel of the area shifts, sometimes almost overnight. On the surface, it looks like progress. Streets are cleaner, buildings are restored, and new businesses open their doors. But as property values and rents soar, long-time residents are priced out. The cost of living rises, and the people who built the community can no longer afford to stay. The grandmother who's lived there forever can't afford the new taxes. Her memories are tied to this place, but the rising costs force her to consider leaving. The corner shop closes after decades, unable to compete with the new expensive businesses. Local traditions and familiar faces start to disappear. Gentrification displaces entire communities, scattering them far from their roots, jobs, and support networks. Families are forced to start over, often in unfamiliar places. It erases cultural identity, turning vibrant neighborhoods into expensive, generic versions of themselves. The unique spirit that once defined the area fades away. In Cape Town, with its history of forced removals, this economic segregation feels hauntingly familiar. The pain of the past echoes in the present. It's a new kind of exclusion, driven by money, not laws. The barriers are invisible, but just as real. The question is, who gets to stay and who gets left behind? Whose voices and stories will shape the future of these neighborhoods? Gentrification isn't just about buildings. It's about people and the soul of a city. It's about belonging, memory, and the right to call a place home. Let's see how this plays out in Cape Town's iconic neighborhoods and what it means for the future of the city and its people. Take Woodstock, a neighborhood of grit and resilience, where every street corner tells a story of survival and hope. For decades, black and colored families here stood their ground, resisting apartheid's forced removals and holding on to their homes with unwavering determination. In the early 2000s, a wave of urban renewal swept through Woodstock, bringing with it tax breaks for developers and promises of revitalization. Old factories, once the heartbeat of working-class life, were transformed into sleek offices. Warehouses became bustling markets, and trendy restaurants began to line the once quiet streets. Suddenly, Woodstock was the place to be. Young professionals flocked in, investors saw opportunity, and the neighborhood's character began to shift. But as property values soared, the very families who had built this community found themselves facing skyrocketing rents and eviction notices, their futures uncertain. A modest home that once sold for 200,000 rand could now fetch over $1 million just a decade later, pricing out those who had called Woodstock home for generations. Landlords seized the moment to cash in, and families, some with roots stretching back half a century, were forced to pack up and leave, their memories boxed away. Today, Woodstock is a neighborhood divided. On one side, chic cafes and beautifully renovated homes. On the other, families fighting desperately to stay in the place they love. The contrast is stark. A gleaming Victorian renovation stands beside a humble cottage, its future hanging by a thread. This is the real cost of progress. Not just new buildings, but the loss of community, history, and belonging. Who truly benefits from these changes? And who gets left behind in the rush for development? The answer is written on every street, in every home, and in the faces of those who remain. Nowhere is the struggle for housing justice clearer than on Bromwell Street, a small but storied road in the heart of Cape Town. Here, the fight for dignity, belonging, and the right to remain in the city plays out in real time. For generations, Bromwell Street was home to a close-knit community, families who celebrated birthdays, mourned losses, and built their lives together side by side. The street echoed with laughter, shared meals, and the sounds of children playing, creating a tapestry of memories that spanned decades. But in 2013, everything changed. Their historic cottages were quietly sold to developers who had plans to demolish them and build luxury apartments in their place, threatening to erase the community's legacy. Residents, some of whom had lived there for 60 years or more, suddenly received eviction notices. The news sent shockwaves through the neighborhood, leaving families anxious and uncertain about their future. The city offered them relocation to Woolwich, a bleak settlement 30 kilometers away, isolated on the city's outskirts, with few jobs, limited transport, and almost no services. For many, it felt like exile. The residents refused to leave, knowing that moving would sever their ties to work, school, and the community they had built over lifetimes. They stood together, determined to defend their right to stay. With help from the Indifuna Ukwazi Law Centre, a group dedicated to housing rights, they launched a legal battle against the city and the developers, fighting for justice in the courts and on the streets. It was a true David versus Goliath struggle. Ordinary families, armed with hope and solidarity, standing up to powerful interests and deep-pocketed developers. Their fight drew national attention, shining a spotlight on the human cost of gentrification and the urgent need for fair housing in South Africa's cities. The residents of Bromwell Street weren't just fighting for their own homes, but for the right of all working-class people to remain part of the city they helped build, refusing to be pushed to the margins. Their struggle became a powerful symbol for all those facing displacement, inspiring others to stand up for their communities and demand justice. Now let's visit Bo-Kaap, Cape Town's living rainbow, where brightly coloured houses reflect the freedom and identity of the Cape Malay community. These colours are more than decoration. They're a symbol of resilience, painted after the abolition of slavery. Bo-Kaap is home to South Africa's oldest mosque and a unique culture preserved for centuries. But its fame has brought challenges. Tourists flood the streets, and developers eye the area for profit. Rising property values and rates threaten families who've lived here for generations. A proposed modern apartment block near the historic mosque has sparked outrage. Locals fear their culture is being commercialized and their community eroded. The pressure of gentrification is real. Bo-Kaap's identity is at stake. The question, can this living heritage survive the tide of development? Faced with these pressures, Woodstock and Bo-Kaap didn't surrender. They fought back. In Bo-Kaap, residents formed associations, protested mass tourism, and demanded a say in development. Signs read, "No buses in Bo-Kaap," and "Our heritage is not your commodity." They challenged proposals threatening their historic landscape, insisting their neighborhood is a living community, not a theme park. In Woodstock, Bromwell Street residents, backed by Indifuna Ukwazi, inspired others facing eviction. Community meetings, legal battles, and shared strategies built a network of resistance. Their fight is about more than buildings. It's about preserving a way of life and the right to the city. These acts of resistance show the power of community standing together. It's a fight for dignity, heritage, and the soul of Cape Town. After a decade of struggle, Bromwell Street's residents won a landmark victory. In December 2024, South Africa's Constitutional Court ruled in their favour, affirming that location matters in housing rights. The court declared it unconstitutional to evict residents and relocate them far from their lives and support networks. This ruling set a powerful precedent. Adequate housing means access to jobs, schools, and community, not just a roof. The victory sent hope through Cape Town's threatened communities, showing that justice can prevail. Developers and officials can no longer push families to the margins for profit. The fight isn't over. But Bromwell Street's win proved that united communities can move mountains, or at least stop the bulldozers. The future of Cape Town's neighbourhoods is still being written by the people who call them home. Visiting Cape Town? You can be part of the solution. Be a traveller, not just a tourist. Connect, don't just consume. Support local businesses. Eat at family-run cafes, buy from local artisans, take cooking classes in real homes. Choose small, locally led tours for authentic stories and deeper understanding. Respect the community. Ask before taking photos. Keep noise down, especially during prayer times. Remember, these are people's homes, not movie sets. Listen, learn, and carry their stories with you. Your choices help communities thrive and resist displacement. Travel with empathy, and you'll leave a positive impact. Together, we can help keep Cape Town's heritage alive. The story of Woodstock and Bo-Kaap is the story of Cape Town's soul. Lose these communities, and the city loses its memory, diversity, and heart. The fight for these neighbourhoods is a fight for everyone who loves Cape Town. Bromwell Street's victory is a beacon of hope, a sign that the tide can turn. Progress doesn't have to mean displacement, it can mean inclusion and upliftment. As visitors, we can choose to engage, support, and connect with the real heartbeat of the city. Picture Table Mountain, but also the colourful homes of Bo-Kaap and the resilient streets of Woodstock. Their culture is the true treasure, their struggle a story of hope. Share their story, support their fight, and help keep Cape Town's heartbeat strong. The future depends on all of us, residents and travellers alike.